On the edge of space, before time began, there was only the hubverse. Sprocketeers avenged clarity, they dismantled obscurity, they danced when the flywheel spun. Here, we bring you the stories and the journeys to becoming the HubSpot superadmin. In this episode, Matthew tells the story when he first references HubSpot back in 2011, only to work in it for the first time 8 years later. Listen to how he went from fanboy to superadmin. Welcome to the Becoming a HubSpot Superadmin podcast, where we're championing the HubSpot superadmin. With us today, we have Matthew Walt, HubSpot specialist and marketing consultant at Upward. He's an active member in the HubSpot superadmin community and a new dad to a new child. Welcome, Matthew.
That's right. Thanks for having me. That is how it works.
You have a new child and you're a new dad to that
I'm
new
an
child.
old dad to still a new child, right?
I'm an old dad to the old child.
Yes, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
It's great to have you here. You're an active user of the Discord and an active contributor to the HubSpot superadmin community. It's not just questions asked and answered. It's also active on live stream when we're doing that, or when someone's guest appearing, you go over and you're part of it. So just thanks so much for being active.
No problem. It's definitely a community that I've literally been looking for. Facebook groups were not providing the same experience. So yeah, if you are a HubSpot user and listening, definitely head over to the Discord.
Matt, let's start with the beginning. So not your, let's start with the end. So not your company and all that stuff, but about you and your role. Can you give us just a couple phrases or sentences about what it is you're doing right now?
Sure. Right now, I am mainly contracting. Well, actually, no, mainly contracting. I almost said exclusively, but I did start Upward Marketing. It's just me right now, trying to make sure I don't lose any opportunities. I had one prospect slip through the cracks, and I felt like that could really help them. But I didn't have the credibility that I could possibly have with an LLC underneath my name. So as a business owner, no idea what I'm doing, but I have cards that I can hand out, and if people want to hire me, they can do that. But right now I'm working with two agencies, both HubSpot partners. One of them is Senior Living Smart, doing a lot of work with them in senior living communities, working with some pretty talented people over there, other HubSpot users, and just in general, great minds when it comes to the senior living industry. The other agency I'm working through is Brand 3, and they specialize in home pro brands in the East Coast areas, like Maryland, Virginia, surrounding. I think Jersey and Pennsylvania are some other states that they're marketing to. Mm-hmm. Home pro brands, so plumbers, roofers, that sort of thing. Definitely hit them up.
And so you're getting them onto HubSpot, is that right?
Well, these are actually already HubSpot partners, so I'm just helping them with their clients, setting them up for Senior Living Smart. If there's a new client, a new brand with communities, because we set up different communities, or I shouldn't say different. We're setting up communities each individually because they have their own paths for leads to follow, right?
Right. So you're setting up those paths.
Right. So that is not necessarily cookie cutter, the methods that we've done, what we've been successful with, because there's always some sort of nuance that we want to kind of create some sort of sparkle, with some sort of unique value for each of our clients there. Whereas there's a variety of different clients over there, landscaping, all the way down to molecule separation. Not really sure.
Molecule separation, huh?
But I help them set up their lists and segmentation, that sort of thing.
So some of the clients that you're primarily working with are in HubSpot and you're doing new marketing motions. Do I understand that right?
Yeah. So I can set up new campaigns for existing HubSpot users, but when a new client joins Senior Living Smart, we get them up and running from scratch.
Okay. So you'll do it in an existing portal or from scratch as well.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So those of you listening now, as we release this episode, Matthew is doing both existing portals and new portals coming on, creating campaigns from scratch. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. We had a senior living smart client come on board with, I think, 38 communities. So we set up marketing automation for 38 different communities. And the team did a great job over there.
That's awesome.
Chunking out the workflows and emails. That's the work that is required to get that up and running, forms, landing pages, all of that. We did that in, I think, less than a month. So it was
Holy
a beautiful in sync implementation, if you will.
And with new forms, more and more as HubSpot, of course, does updates and that sort of thing. We just got released this past week. We saw that you can attribute forms to campaigns now.
Which I thought was already a thing.
Right? Weren't we already doing that?
Is it like a Mandela effect? I could have sworn that every form that I fill has a drop down. And I always type...
Include in forms?
I honestly thought that was already a thing.
So with that in mind, can you tell us what your favorite HubSpot tool is and why?
Mm-hmm. So I've thought about this, and I have two answers. One of them is probably the most simple one, and that's the workflows. The marketing automation within HubSpot is just fantastic. And when you know which properties to create and leverage within the workflows, then the sky is almost the limit. It only gets complicated when you start integrating things, and it's not specifically exactly how you want it, at least in my experience. But the workflow's fantastic. But one feature that has been available for a while, but I don't see widely used, but I value it tremendously, is smart content. Going back to what I said about those senior living communities, we set up paths for each community. So if we have leads coming in and they're interested in memory care communities versus assisted living communities, or if a community offers both of those services, we have to branch them off and provide the right messaging to the people.
Right.
So if we have, let's say, 4 branches: memory care, assisted living, independent living, and home care. All right. So anyone in the senior living industry, hospitality industry, might know a little bit more about what I'm saying. But
they're all jiving right with you. They're tracking.
A, B, C, D. Okay.
Okay.
And then each of those get 4 emails as part of their nurturing. Instead of creating 16 individual emails with the smart content, 4 emails, and then just segment of the messaging within those assets within HubSpot.
So Matthew, do you create 4 and you even put the different communities, like the branding for the community in, and then the message for the user who's accessing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Senior Living Smart does all that. I just help them.
That's awesome. And so in what ways, so the smart content in emails and on websites, is that how you utilize?
We don't do so much smart content on websites. We found that it's just in general a little bit more difficult because, well, you'd have to know what they're interested in before showing them smart content on a website or a landing page. We could. I've thought about, I think other teammates or colleagues have thought about going that route, but it just seems like the best way to spend our time and effort is to just get those leads in.
You primarily use it on the emails.
Right, exactly. The personalization exists in the emails. We could always have a link that takes them to a gated landing page that provides them with the personalized content on site, but we just have it not there.
Right. Because by then they'll have seen an email that they received, clicked on something that you're qualifying them to see the content you're going to share on that landing page.
It's not a bad idea. We've definitely thought about it, but time and energy is
time
always,
and people.
always capped.
What it doesn't do it automatically? It just doesn't instantly create.
Yeah, you'd think so. I've come across that way.
Right.
Coming
Yeah,
soon.
we have to set these tools up, get the smart content in, and have the content. We need the back end to have the information about these people. You know, you want to serve them in the way they want to be served. That's all right. So that's where we're at. Your tool, love it. Your tool of choice. That's where you're at now at Upward. So take us back then to the beginning. So not necessarily, unless this is true about your high school career, your first high school job, rather your first HubSpot opportunity. And so what kind of sparked your HubSpot life? Where did that begin? What's that story like?
Sure. So I was born on at a young age, I was very interested in advertising. At risk of sounding like a madman, I was interested in the manipulation of it in advertising. Sure. Not subliminal messaging, but just the science behind getting someone to buy something or what I thought was tricking them. You know what I mean? Obviously, I was educated on what it really is later, but that's what got me going. And I was very attentive to like details. I feel like it was Verizon when I was really young, and like my mom and I were just driving around. I said, "Oh wow, Verizon changed their logo," and it was like the slightest font change,
just a bit.
And then I just thought, like, why they're spending so much money like on this? And anyway, so when I was able to go to college at West Virginia University, I wanted to go into the marketing program. Obviously, it was underneath the business school, which was a little competitive.
Right.
I shouldn't say a little competitive. It was very competitive at the time. And I had a lot of fun my first year. So
Understood.
So I wasn't competitive to get into that school. The next best thing was an advertising degree from the School of Journalism, which honestly probably helped me along my path much more than I would think the business school or the marketing degree probably would have. 99% of what you learn in your career happens outside of college, but still the stepping stones and the understanding of what makes a campaign, the emotional triggers that need to be applied to get that ethos, logos, those kinds of pulls. So I've always been interested in advertising and marketing. Coming out of college, I landed a job with a company called Learning Tree International in the DC area, Northern Virginia. And that's where I learned, again, 99% of what I know today about marketing. And shout out to Trisha Sacchetti, who actually just recently accepted a new offer. I'm not sure where she is now, but she did great things for Learning Tree. I'm sure she's going to do great things wherever she's going. But yeah, I just learned a whole lot about just marketing in general and the struggle, both internal and external, at a corporate level.
Okay.
So the leadership at the time maybe didn't understand exactly what marketing could do for them. So there was always that internal struggle with leadership and sales, a lot of pointing the fingers. I wore a whole bunch of hats,
right?
Including copywriter. That's how I learned that I didn't like to write. But one thing that I did excel at, going back to the details, I was very detail oriented. So I started off as a fulfillment specialist, which was just a fancy word of envelope stuffer.
This was still a Learning Tree, yes?
Yeah. So that was my first
fulfillment.
Fulfillment specialist. And then that wasn't even in the marketing department, but I did handle a lot of marketing material. Then I received an opportunity to join the marketing team as a proofreader, and we would print these thick, like almost 200-page catalog of the courses that were offered, a lot of in-person courses. Imagine that, pre-pandemic. And so there was a lot of just focus-oriented work. And I just noticed a whole bunch of issues when it came to the styling, especially when it came to like the product descriptions, the course descriptions, and what marketing was putting out. And it really just, it took way too long for us to realize that the product department was using a Chicago style of writing and the marketing department was using AP. So my first real big project that I was really proud of was creating a style guide. And the reason why I'm saying that is because this is where my HubSpot journey started. Let me actually pull it up because I had to dig it out, but it was something along the lines of.
So you were helping with these course catalogs, and as they were being made plus going out, there was different styles for the creation, but then the promotion.
Right. So, I mean, it sounds silly when you explain it, but at the highest level, there would be a lot of inconsistencies with, say, commas. Now, I'm not like an Oxford comma must use an Oxford comma type of person. I'm does it read well? And is it consistent with other practice, like wherever it exists elsewhere? Is it consistent?
And it just was not consistent.
It was consistency. It was not consistent. If anyone were to like flip pages and really look at it, it would not look good. So I created the Learning Tree Style Guide, editorial style guide. And on the second page, I quote HubSpot. I'm not going to do the whole quote because it is a long one. Your effectiveness as an inbound marketer relies on the quality of your content. And in other senses. I am only using HubSpot at this point as a reference on how to be a good marketer. Haven't used the platform, not even the CRM yet. Just using the HubSpot knowledge base. All right, so let's just fast forward. And I moved down to Norfolk, Virginia with my wife to start a family. And I found an opportunity at a small software company that created ERP, enterprise resource planning software, supply chain software. And when I joined their team at Extuple, they were using their own ERP software as the CRM. It's used or is explained often as eating your own dog food, right?
Yeah. It's kind of a common thing. People will use what they have to try and do everything they need to do, even though the thing doesn't exactly do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there was a rude awakening that maybe we should stop using an ERP system to market. And so in between me quoting HubSpot at Learning Tree to actually using HubSpot, it was about an 8-year gap.
Between Learning Tree and Extuple?
Well, as far as me using HubSpot as a reference tool to me actually using the tool.
Sure.
The CRM, the platform itself. It was about 8 years. And when I heard that that's the direction that we are going at Extuple, because we needed that marketing push, we needed the automation, we needed some sort of way to efficiently speak and convert to leads. And we got the marketing enterprise with CMS. I think that was all packaged in one at the time. I don't think they were necessarily selling CMS as itself, or at least not to the extent that HubSpot's doing right now.
Today, yeah.
Yeah. And Sales Pro and Service, I believe, Enterprise. So...
What year was this around?
Goodness.
Was this 2015?
19?
2019?
No, 2018.
2018.
Is it 18?
When you...
I think it's 18. 18 or 19.
So you started Learning Tree and you made that reference like around the 2010s?
Yeah, so 2011. 2011. It wasn't 8 years. Maybe it was 7 years.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not correcting your math. So then 8 years later, somewhere in 2018, at Xtuple, you finally say, all right, we're going to do this marketing thing. And this HubSpot thing does it really well.
So when I heard that we were getting HubSpot, I mean, it was just awesome. I was so excited.
You're cheering. You guys had a party.
Meanwhile, there's the head of marketing at the time, Missy Schmidt, also very talented, retired now. She's probably doing great things with cats. Just big part of the SPCA and fostering kittens. Great Instagram to follow. Anyway, so we were excited, and she was mainly focused on revamping the website. Definite need that had to happen.
Yeah.
I was all about supporting sales. And without any kind of roles or discussion, I kind of just took it. I went in and just started rolling with HubSpot. Pause here. You're at Xtuple.
They decide that the ERP isn't going to cut it, and they implement HubSpot, correct?
Right.
So someone does some implementation, or are you part of that?
I was a part of it, loosely a part of it.
Sure.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of forced myself to be part of it.
Yeah, right. I'm going to do this whether you want me to or not.
It was very much ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah.
Type of scenario.
So they implement, and now you and Missy are saying, Missy's saying, I want to do website stuff. And you're saying, all right, well, I want to qualify leads for sales.
The relationship I had with Missy was pretty stellar.
Yeah.
It was, I don't even remember even having a discussion this is what I'm going to do. It just
this is all in retrospect. Yeah.
But yeah, so Missy and our graphic designer at the time, Jen, shout out to Jen Hobbs, who I think is doing Realty right now. But they were focused on the CMS part of it and working a lot to get that up and running. And I'm at a cubicle right across from sales, and I'm communicating with sales, trying to figure out how they can convert on their end, or just simply how to do a good demo, and capture the data during the time of demoing. So that was my main focus, is sales. And so I was all about marketing automation and creating workflows and sequences. And every now and then service would have something, hey, can we have this? And there were some team members in the service area that understood HubSpot, but they were very busy. They did what they could, but then I would help them out with ticket work and more automation, more workflows to support them on that effort.
Just setting them up, getting it so that they can be more efficient during their day.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
And also communicate with the client.
Right.
Because that was another thing that was missing. It's just if someone submits a bug, then they want to know the status of said bug. So even setting up a chat bot on the site that would say, are you looking for a ticket update? Click yes. And that sort of thing. Unfortunately, Missy had to go and retire and deal with kittens.
All right, Missy, we see you retiring.
And there were some leadership changes that ultimately led to my cut. And from what I understand, my salary being used for LinkedIn ads. That leadership change only lasted about a year. And I saw a job posting for a HubSpot admin, which I really wasn't interested in because I was doing contract work and selling.
So back at that same company, a year later, there was a job posting for a LinkedIn or a HubSpot
almost
admin.
Exactly a year later to my departure. During the pandemic with a 9-month-old.
Okay.
What a great time to be alive.
All right, we're releasing Matthew. In with the good, out with the bad.
it was just, it's amazing how things turned out.
Good.
I started working with brand 3, Orsola, or Orsi, as I like to say, because I'm not even sure if I pronounced her name right. But she posted on LinkedIn looking for a HubSpot specialist. I threw my hat in the ring, and she's like, contracting. And kind of pushed me towards contracting, and one thing led to another. And as I said before, here I am now, in all of my glory. No, but no, it's been a wild ride.
So you referenced and were hip to. Does that mean that you were in the HubSpot Academy prior to using the platform, just learning and growing and reading?
Yes. I mean, I didn't like seek out certifications necessarily, but I watched those videos. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you read it? It's a common thread I'm hearing that people read the book Inbound. Was that part of your journey at all? I did not.
I don't do really well with books.
Sure.
I had it.
That's why I ask. Yeah. Do you own it?
It might be somewhere. The only...
I love that. I'm the same way, Matthew. It's so true.
Pristine condition. I take such good care of it.
Bookshelf is so nice. Actually, I wish it was messy.
This is the only book that I really suggest. Not only because it's one of the few that I've read, but it's just such great work by Marcus Sheridan.
Which one is that? Will you tell us?
Yeah, They Ask You Answer.
They Ask You Answer by whom?
Definitely. Marcus Sheridan.
Marcus Sheridan.
He's a Virginia boy. Started as a pool guy. I'm going to give you his story, but it's better than mine. So definitely seek him out.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. So we've now talked about where you've been, or where you are now, and where you started. You kind of talked about a couple things along the way, though I would like you to maybe hit through in a sequence just kind of some of the touch points from maybe even Learning Tree, but definitely Xtuple to where you are now, and some of those wins you feel like, or those things that you did that all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm doing this. This is a thing. And you already mentioned one, that you working with this agency that kind of got you in after Xtuple said, why don't you contract? You know, I mean, the first time someone contracts, that's a big deal. Getting all those things set up.
Because like we had at the most personal level, have a discussion with my wife and figure out like health insurance, you know? I'm used to working with a W-2 and getting benefits.
Right.
Thankfully, she has benefits with her job. So that was a decision that we had to weigh as far as just financially, like, would me contracting at an hourly rate with really unguaranteed work be beneficial? And we took the risk, and the risk really worked out. So there were personal considerations you made about health insurance, life insurance, regularity of payment, regularity of work, right? If work is going to translate to pay, and you talk about pay, well, then there's also some days and weeks I might need to be really on, and some days and weeks I'm not as busy. So is that work in your lifestyle? Yes, it is working.
It sounds like kids, you guys decided yes.
Well, yeah. Having kids definitely creates that roller coaster that you just mentioned. As far as my availability is concerned, which obviously influences how much work I'm able to do. Things are picking back up, and it's one of the reasons why I have Upward available, is to kind of just catch opportunities and not have them slip through the cracks as I've had before.
Right. Can you walk us through then just Xtuple to Upward? What are the things you've done? So 2018, that's about 4 years. And then just sprinkle the pandemic in there. But yeah, what are the things you did along the way from then to now?
Spent a lot of time with my kid, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of I was all about the hustle culture, right? I was working 12-hour days, and I was proud of myself for doing it. Now, working hard within that hustle culture, it was just really common in marketing. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing for everyone, but it could be. I don't think it was a bad thing for me, but it was one of the things I had to get over. And one of the things that definitely did not fit the lifestyle that I wanted with my family. A lot more work-life balance needed to happen. So,
was that hustle culture for you, Matthew? And sorry to interject you. Was that hustle culture for you spending all your time on stuff, or just getting massive amounts of things accomplished?
yes.
Okay, so a little of both.
And quality. And when I say that, I mean perfection.
Okay.
I was very much of a perfectionist, which is not a good attribute. Something else that when I say self-reflecting, I mean, I was all about self-reflecting. Stop hustling, stop being a perfectionist, start taking risks, and get over imposter syndrome, which is still something that is in the back of my mind. Me thinking that maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, and being embarrassed putting it out there, saying, if I offer a suggestion out there and someone's like, you don't know what you're talking about, that still kind of scares me. But I treated it less as a threat or something that would produce stress and more of a way to learn. You know what? If someone knows it better than I do, good on them. And now I know it.
Love that, man. Love that.
So
I interrupted you. So stop the hustle culture, do more balance. Take us from there.
Yeah. So I mean, from Extuple to where I am now, it was a lot of personal time, family time, and then once the unemployment started getting a little dry, the unemployment checks, that is, I started seeking just in general opportunities, and I was honestly looking for a W-2 job because that's all I knew, and it was Brand 3 or C over at Brand 3 who kind of pushed me to contract. And that's kind of what I've been doing since then. Still open opportunities. There's definitely been some W-2 work out there that's been pretty attractive. So yeah, still exploring and definitely open to new opportunities out there.
And so Upward is around packaging those opportunities into more of a streamlined thing that you do, which is more around the marketing campaigns that you're running, is what I'm hearing.
Well, Upward is honestly, it's just an LLC. It's a reason to get shirts, and stickers and things like that. I'm proud of it. I am, but in no way, shape, or form am I trying to like create Upward into this huge thing.
Heard.
I
love that.
I don't think I'm going to be, well, this could be imposter syndrome talking, but I don't think I'm going to be a good leader when it comes to agency style teams.
Okay.
I'm definitely someone who likes to get their hands dirty. I love strategy. I love discussing strategy, but that's not all I want to do. I want to do strategy and build those workflows for it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's me. Upward is pretty much me creating my own position, so I don't have to ask someone for permission.
I love that you're so open and sharing. I think a lot of super admins who are in portals every day, either making recommendations, doing strategy mappings, those sorts of things, they have their experience and they're bringing that forward and sharing what they know. But then always wondering, what is it I don't know that I could be saying that I maybe should be saying to optimize? And it's like, look, at the end of the day, you know what you know, and you're doing your best with what you have. And that's all anyone can ask. And Matthew, you're so open to share that honesty of where you're at, whether you feel it or not. It's something you continue to show in the Discord, that you're showing up with what you have at that time. And like, what else is there? What else can you do other than show up that way? So
yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Offer something, yeah, not a problem. Last thing I want to do is offer something that doesn't work or makes things worse. Definitely don't want to do that.
Right. And that is probably the other half of the coin, is that you do show up with it because you know it works. When you don't and you're not sure, you say, I'm not sure. You don't make something up and lie.
Yeah.
What?
It definitely happens out there.
You've already mentioned a couple of people. You've mentioned Trisha, Missy, Jen, Orsi, and do you want to
shout out to the leaders at Brand 3, or not Brand 3? I'm sorry, Senior Living Smart, Andrea and Debbie, doing great things over there in the senior living industry. We're growing tremendously. I don't know if we're hiring for anything right now, but if you go to seniorlivingsmart.com and click on that careers page and send them something, you might get a response.
When you're listening to the podcast, go ahead and tell Andrea and Debbie over at Senior Living Smart that you heard Matthew on the Becoming a HubSpot Superadmin podcast. You'll get a leg up, a little dog ear on your application.
A message from Andrea and Debbie saying, we're not hiring. No, they are growing tremendously. Account execs, possible HubSpot work, but I think it's the account executives, or not executives, but executives that they need to onboard these new clients.
Understood. There are any stories of these people that you want to dig more into and kind of fill out for us of how they either helped or promoted or put you, kind of gave you a stage?
I mean, they both Trisha and Missy were definitely very supportive. Unfortunately, there were limitations above them that didn't get to where we wanted to be. But as far as just hearing me out, listening, the power of listening, it's great, and definitely something that I feel like a lot of leaders take advantage of. I was fortunate to have some pretty good leaders that did that, listened very well.
It sounded like Missy kind of gave you the space and room to grow, and was someone that you also felt like you were tactical and actually worked with too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we would dig into data constantly in spreadsheets. Oh my God. Those numbers in those spreadsheets, we spent quite some time trying to get that accurate count. But still, we got it to this day.
So for you, it was that they would listen to you, that they were part of, that you felt they made you feel like you were a part of the team, and that they wanted to hear what you had to say. Is that true?
That I was contributing in some way, shape, or form. I wasn't just I guess really my role there at Xtuple was marketing coordinator and SDR. I did a lot of SDR work at Xtuple whilst being a HubSpot admin. So that's something that actually I want to take note of, because that really helped me understand the sales process, the marketing to sales process, and the importance of that handoff, and it being a very smooth handoff. Make the job as easy as possible for sales, and they will close that deal better, or at a higher rate, I should say. So that's something that I was probably something that I would rank as top 3 that I took from Xtuple. It's just learning that marketing to sales handoff.
Okay.
It's an important one, and it could easily get tripped up.
The marketing to sales handoff being a big handoff that when it goes well, then it really helps and supports the sales team. When it goes poorly.
Did I answer the question? I feel like I just trailed off there and thought.
Yeah, no, it's good. We're talking about the people along the way. Missy at Extuple was one of those people for you, and one of the insights you got from that.
Yeah, she was the marketing side. On the sales side, who really encouraged me and gave me insight in the sales process is Wally Tonra, who also moved to do more explosive things, I think. I need to get in touch with him. It's been a little bit, but on the marketing side, Missy was definitely a huge influence, and on the sales side, Wally was definitely there to help me out. So I had some pretty good mentors, if you will. It's a shame things ended the way they did, but I wouldn't be here if it wasn't that change. And good things are happening.
Missy, hope you're enjoying your cats. Yeah. We appreciate all the support you gave Matthew along the way. All right, so we're heading in here to our last question, which is, Matthew, the 2032 version, so 10 years from now, what would, if Matthew 2032 were standing in front of us right now, what would he be saying to you? What would he be talking about, and what would he be saying to you?
Risks aren't always bad. If you take a risk, good things can happen. That's the bottom line. And the reason why it means so much to me is because I was not a risk taker. I'm still not a risk taker. Like lottery, I can get upset at someone spending $5 on a lottery ticket. It's like, you're literally wasting money. But if you don't play, you don't win. Yeah, but like, whatever. So when it came to taking risks, I was very calculated, and unless it's like a 99% chance that it would come out positive, I won't take it. But sometimes all you need is that like 70% or even 40% assurance. I forget who it was. I'm blanking on a name. I want to say it was a data expert that worked at the White House. So if I'm wrong, don't quote me. But
reference that guy.
Yeah. But the quote is something along the lines of, I only need to be 40% sure of something to make a decision. I want to say it's higher than 40%, but that's what's coming to mind. And understanding that and the benefits of risks, I'm starting to take them, and they're really paying off. So
do you have
I could just be tactical, but it's really paying off.
You like to be tactical. Risks are paying off. I hear that, and I hear you coming from a place, Matthew, of you are very risk averse. And so this transition into like opening yourself up to risk, you're kind of in that, and I hear that, especially during a pandemic, and you starting a new agency to take care of or to take full advantage of opportunities. That makes a lot of sense. Is there a way that you assess? Do you have a process yet, which you don't have to, where you assess risk?
No. It's honestly just a mental pros and cons list.
Okay, a pro-con Venn diagram, and you think through.
Just mentally, thinking. Rarely do I write it down. I don't think the risks I'm taking aren't like really complicated. I mean, it's literally just contracting or W-2. Do I want to have something a little bit more assured but less paying, or do I want to take the risk and literally have it pay off monetary wise? But at the same time, it's going to affect, like I said, my wife. We're on her health insurance. So if another opportunity comes along and I have an opportunity to join a W-2 team with better health insurance, like maybe my wife will become a full-time mom, you know? It's all weighing, but then again, that's a risk. W2, I've literally been fired before. So
I love where you're going, and I want to summarize the fact that you are live in front of us, not only saying I should open myself up to risk, but as those opportunities come about, I should take into account the right now. Mm-hmm. There is a decision I've made before where I calculated a risk, and now I've made that decision, so I'm on that track. So you're not going back to that previous one. You're just saying, where am I at right now? And then taking that as the assessment of the opportunity ahead of me.
Oh, yeah. Always forward, never looking back.
Love that.
Unless you have to.
Love that. You know, so often some people might get caught up in, well, I decided then that this, and so I have to keep with that. And otherwise, why did I decide? And you can't change that in the past. You're here where you are. And you're so matter of fact about, this is where I'm at.
Actually, you saying that kind of puts a different spin on it. Like, if you treat risk as an experiment, then you're literally just experimenting with a decision. Now, if the experiment turns out to be something that you weren't expecting, then trash that experiment and go to a different experiment. Much easier said than done, I know.
Right.
Maybe that perspective will help someone.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's really all it takes, is just a different perspective to push someone along the right path.
Well, Matthew, tell us where, if someone wants to find you, where can they find you?
I don't share a lot of content, but I do discuss a lot of things, as you said before, including memes. I didn't really realize I had meme talent until I joined the HubSpot superadmin Discord.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. But you can find me chatting with other HubSpot users and sharing some laughs at the HubSpot superadmin Discord. Other than that, you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. I'm often on LinkedIn, just browsing and liking and commenting. But if you want to hear me talk, then Discord's where it's at.
So go over to Discord and search Matthew Walt. He's got the rocket by his name. He's also similarly on LinkedIn, if that's a place you live as well. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Matthew. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's interesting to share the same stage as Max Cohen or George B. Thomas, other HubSpot superadmins. It's surreal. Thanks for having me.
Yep. All right. Thanks all for listening, and we'll talk to you on the Discord.
See you.
Becoming the HubSpot Superadmin podcast is available at HubspotSuperadmin.com or wherever you get your podcast.